right.
Let me know
just-
if I should sell some fucking tickets, bro. Let me know.
For real, I need to.
Sell
I
these
gotta
tickets.
stop eating at 7.
So
I need
if there's
popcorn.
if there's gonna be a brawl, we need to sell some tickets and make money, and hopefully have a venue for it too, so the most
Dude, I
people
will-
see it.
I
Well,
will
dude, I'm-
never ever fault anybody for reselling a product and making money and making a profit off of it. Never ever. So nothing wrong with that. That's the freaking thing this country was built on.
It's true.
So,
You know,
no.
So no fight.
everything started going downhill. Yeah. Everything started
fucking
going
one thing
downhill.
you say, JD.
Huh?
Jesus Christ.
Everything started going downhill when Gary accused Dom of taking drugs just a few minutes ago.
I was just worried.
You told him to
I was
watch
just
the
worried.
supplements.
Gary's
Why
like,
am I
I've
taking
seen
stuff
people on the
like-
sauce before. Dom, you're on the sauce.
We've
I'm on some special
we,
sauce.
we've got a few weeks left of the wellness, and I just wanted to make sure that he was okay.
He's just watching out for your liver, man. That's all.
Exactly. Dude, he's got it exactly right.
My liver is fine. I've
Your
been
liver and
drinking
your
water.
heart.
Nothing but water, dude.
Yeah.
What's your piss looking like? Is it yellow or is it clear?
It's clear. It's clear,
Yep.
clear as day.
How's it smell?
But
Popcorn.
if you're taking that pre-workout though, I don't know.
Dude, I'm not taking any pre-workout. What am I fucking working out for? I'm running. That's all I'm running like Forrest Gump, dude.
You
That's
did
all I'm
12
running.
miles, right? How many miles?
Somebody chasing you? What are you running so much for?
Yeah, Dave is chasing me with a fucking pitchfork.
Did Dave ever give your figure back, by the way? Or
Guess
does he still
what?
have it?
Guess what?
Oh,
Wait, I got-
Jose, you're
I-
supposed
I
to
talk
keep
about
quiet.
that?
Yeah, let's talk about that, Dave.
I
Let's
said
talk about it.
I said that toy was not leaving my house, right? And it's not. Ask
Toys-
Dom, is it just not leaving my house? It's just
Did you just like give him no choice and send him money?
No. We the
I tried that,
the
didn't
eBay
work.
coupon deal. The eBay coupon. I utilized that in like a kind of bundle that I did with this guy. He had that figure, and I put it into the bundle, and I was able to get it for a good price. So Dave's going to keep that one and give me the money for the one that I just recently purchased.
Correct.
Oh, nice.
But that's not the way it really happened. Dom texted me. He goes, "What's the most you would pay for that figure?" And I was like, "This and this." Maybe.
Oh,
this
Dave,
and this.
Dave,
He
you're
was
gonna
like,
love.
"Oh,
You're gonna
okay."
love my.
Go
You're
ahead.
gonna love my text tomorrow because I got a bunch of shit that you gotta fucking that I'm running a list on that you tell me to get, and they're all coming through.
Uh-oh. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Got really scared.
Uh-huh.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did I ordered like I got the Mezco like a Batman coming in, like another Batman coming in, and I ordered two
another
of them.
Batman?
Is that
Oh.
are you on that second list?
What the fuck is that?
I'll
No.
text it to you tomorrow because it just came in.
I don't think so. But
Oh, you did.
all right, maybe I did. We'll see.
And you got this like I gave you the Spider-Man already, right? I gave you the Spider-Man, the tech suit Spider-Man exclusive.
Spider-Man. What the fuck are we talking about now?
Oh God,
This dude
see,
just went. Just
This
Oh,
is went too far.
This dude, yeah, he
see,
just
see,
fucking
see.
turned left and went way off.
This is how friendship break. The friendship is going to break because of this.
I was about to say though, shout out to friendship, man. Like I was about to say, like Don, like how much I assumed when you first bought that figure, you got it for a good deal. If you were willing to give Dave like a better deal, or was the deal just as good as what you originally paid for that?
No. Like when I bought those figures, the hype wasn't as crazy as it is now because this last wave that came out was like almost close to like 36, 40 figures. So it's like,
yeah, it was like 46 figures.
yeah. So people started going back to the Coliseum wave and to the older 1.0, 1.5 waves and trying to pick things up, and the prices of them went skyrocketing. And I was able to get some figures at that time for like between $60 to $80. So like you're lucky to find like the good prices now, or if you can get it under 100, it's pretty good. So that's kind of how I worked. I was able to use. I had some eBay bucks that I had ready to go, and I used a coupon and I was able to haggle the guy down a good amount when I started just putting a couple figures together. So.
Nice. See, look at that. Sometimes, as they say, patience saves pockets, or Dave just borrowing the figure, though he had to give it back, and look, he gets to keep it.
Like it was one of the techniques that last week we were talking about eBay, and it's good to see what the seller is offering before you buy one of his figures, because he might have another thing that you have, and if he does, then you can just shoot him a message and say, hey, if I buy these 5 figures, what kind of deal can you give me? Can you knock the price down like $10 a figure, or whatever the case may be? That's kind of how I worked it.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. But it's also, I always love to hear when somebody could hook somebody else up. Yeah, like that's dope. Like Frogman, hooking it up with the Magic Square Prime and shit like that. Like, I got the thing right here. It's pretty dope. So shout out to that dude. I love hearing that, like when collectors are helping each other out in the community, shit like that. So with that, welcome to episode 63 of Breaking the Mold, guys. I'm Harrick and BX. Let's say what's up officially to the rest of the crew. Enter John Attic. What's up tonight, Pop?
Yo, what's good? Happy Tuesday, people.
What's up, Dave?
What's up? I had a pretty good weekend. I've been excited to tell you guys this. So I cleared out a bunch of my Detolfs, actually, because I got that cabinet upstairs finally. Mm-hmm. That one that Gary came by. We tried to bring upstairs.
That fucking cabinet.
Yeah. So me and my stepfather, you hear me? Me and my father-in-law tried to we did actually put it back together, and once we did that, I started filling it up, and I noticed how many like Hot Toys or 6 scale figures I had to say, because I do collect Sideshow. I probably have a good 30 figures in there already, so nice. I made a lot of room in my Detolf, so I got more room, so that means I need to buy more toys, I guess.
And with 30 in there, it's not like they're riding a subway or something like that. It looks nice.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'll show you guys a little later. I plan to do a reveal in a few weeks, because I have room, so I could actually start putting stuff out. So little by little.
Yeah, Brian, it's a really nice piece of display furniture, and it's not little. And we spent 4 hours trying to manipulate that thing around the landing and the stairs, and
4 hours,
on like a 100-degree day. Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's always 100 degrees when you're moving shit.
We took doors. We took doors off the hinges. We took it's a sliding door, like the front of the cabinet. We took that off. Nothing worked. We needed like a good 4 inches to clear, and the only way to do that was to break it.
What were you doing? Moving Jose's apartment?
I don't got much.
And the whole time, Dave's like, just look, just chill out. I'm gonna take you for pizza, okay? We're gonna go for pizza. I was like, dude.
Yeah, poor dude. The dude was here for maybe an hour. I already put him to work, and he was all drenched in sweat. I felt bad, but
that's it.
All right, but yeah, I got it up, so I'm excited that I actually have more space in the room, and I don't know what to do with it now. Now that you have space, you kind of want to know exactly where you're going to put shit. So that's the only dilemma I'm having right now. It's like, hey, do I put this there or this there?
Dude, you got to get that Hot Toy speeder bike now.
Oh, that's a done deal, Gary. I'm gonna probably order that shit soon. That's probably gonna go behind me though, on top of the white Vestas. Because it'll take up at least half or a full shelf of that cabinet.
Put it between your bubbas.
Was that?
Put it right between your bubbas, because it's not that high, right?
I don't know if I'm gonna leave them there though. That's just temporary. So
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe your dilemma could play into the discussion that we get into tonight. Might be interesting to hear that. Big Dom, what's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? Had a good weekend. I'm assuming you guys all saw my tags, I guess. I was.
I didn't. So Brian blew you up. So I'm gonna have to search those pics out, man.
Yeah. I had my niece's sweet 16. My wife's niece turned 16 last weekend, but they had the party this weekend.
Nice. What kind of car she got?
Mercedes, actually.
No shit.
Yeah, she got a good car. It was her grandfather's car though. It was her grandfather's car, so he kind of lent he bought a new car and he gave her his old car.
Oh,
Damn, at 16 you get a Mercedes?
God bless you.
Some people, you know, are more loved than you, Dave.
I had a Pontiac Grand Am, and I had to pay for it myself.
That doesn't sound like love.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a station wagon, which was gray outside and purple inside. We called it the Barney.
I had a Metro card, bro. Nah, they didn't exist then. That was a bus pass, you know, back in
it was a good time. It was a good time. They all died. They didn't spare any expense. They really went out and gave her a good party, and you know, we all got dappered up. It was a dress code. It was all black, so you had to wear a black suit, black shirt,
all black, everything.
Yeah,
it's like Jay-Z.
So all the women were in black dresses, and all the men had black suits, black shirts. But you could wear a different color tie if you wanted to. So
nice, good shit, dude. Good shit. How'd you do with the eating? Because I'm sure an event like that must have had lots of good food.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I was so good. I behaved myself, and my wife was very proud of me. I didn't even go into the Viennese. Like, they had a Viennese hour. Like, they literally, like, you had a little room. They had like a donut wall. They had like gelato station. They had fucking cotton candy. They had a lot of. Oh, dude, I didn't even walk into the room. I didn't, and there was the one thing that I was going to treat myself was to a cappuccino. I was like, I'm going to have a cappuccino. I want a cappuccino. That's all I wanted. And I sat at the table while everybody went inside, and lo and behold, the waiter came up to me. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a cappuccino. And he's like, oh, we're just giving coffee. I'm like, okay, I'll take a coffee. And they brought me a coffee, and it was just horrible. I didn't like. I took one sip, and I was like, forget this. It's not even. I was so in the mood for a cappuccino. And lo and behold, after like an hour went by, and my wife came out, and you know, I was like, oh, she's like, did you have coffee? And I'm like, no, they didn't. Like, I was looking for a cappuccino. She's like, oh, it's inside the room. They had a cappuccino machine. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I missed out on my cappuccino. So.
Oh man.
Dom, I got a question for you.
What's that?
So, had you seen family that you haven't seen in a while?
Yeah, they were.
Were they all like,
yeah,
like, wow, you look good and stuff like that? That's good. Yeah, that's a nice feeling. That kind of keeps you a little amped to keep going. I think I
saw my two brother-in-laws last. Like, I know, actually, I saw one of them like in March, like beginning of March. But like the other one, I didn't see him since December. And he was amazed, like, how much weight I lost. So
nice.
He definitely said, "Oh man, you look really good. You look great." And it's nice to fit into a nice, you know. I think I had my jacket was like I was like a 58, and I think it was a 58. What was it? And I got down to a 48.
That's good, bro.
Nice.
So, and then my waist, I went from a 40, I think I was like almost a 48-50 waist, and now I'm down to a 42.
Nice.
So,
isn't that a good feeling? Isn't that a good feeling?
Yeah, very good feeling. I'm working to that 40, and I know I had it in my closet since Gary see my Niagara, back in my Niagara Falls days and all the sexiness I was back like 6 years ago when I met my wife. I have like a couple 38 giant side jeans in the closet, so I'd like to get into those.
Oh shit!
Yeah, hopefully.
Good shit, dude.
Gary would be proud, and then I'll start working out my biceps. I haven't done any muscle training, Gary, because I felt like it just would defeat the purpose, because the weight would I would get more weight than I'll definitely look better, but the weight would be there in my muscles because my muscles would be growing, and I was going to leave that until April after the contest, and start lifting weights and getting a little bit more tone and getting some of this loose skin a little tighter.
Nice. You should.
That's when I was going to say that's when Gary could feed you the steroids.
Yes. Listen, he can stick the needle right in my ass.
You'll be dealing with something else. Yeah. You should have been doing that now, though. You could do like lighter weights, repetitions, build some light.
Dude, my body, the way, like, I was been an athlete all my life, so like and the muscles that I have there, any type of lifting, my muscles grow. Yeah, my muscles grow. Yeah.
Fucking, I can't wait to see Dom in a muscle shirt in the summertime.
Watch, like in April, I'll start doing I'll start doing biceps and triceps, and my biceps will just you'll see me in Toy Con. I bet you won't, like my arms will be twice the size.
He's gonna be going.
So
that's all chipping.
Jose, listen. You guys know, look, every event that we do, whether it was in Reston, Virginia, or in Chicago, or it's in New Jersey, I always bring my stuff. I always invite people, and no one ever comes with me.
I'm going to come with you, Gary.
It's too early. It's too early.
Just bring the pills,
maybe
Gary.
We'll
bring
see.
the pills and the powder.
You guys can selfie together.
Yeah.
So
That's it. You just got to bring the goods, Gary, and we'll be there. Bring the goods.
please. If I had the goods, I'd look like a junior Dwayne Johnson. That's the problem here.
Yeah. We can watch each other's clothes on our abs, okay? But Gary, no problem.
All right. The analyzer, Brian Brink. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys?
How are you doing?
My weekend was not as exciting. I was getting stuff together for our our spring cleaning event here in April, and
have you made some hard decisions about what you're going to put on the table?
Yeah, you know, the news from TFCon made the decisions not as hard. You know, it's funny though. I was thinking today. I think we were talking about this last week, but I was looking at Legends class figures today. I was like, oh. And I'm about to unload all these. Well, maybe I do want them. I don't know. But, on to more important things. I went down to get some coffee right before the show started. And, well, my first ants of 2019 are here. They come every year. And I hate that. But so I put out some traps, and they'll be gone in a few days. But I don't know how you guys feel about this, but when you have critters of any kind infiltrate the house, I feel totally invaded. I don't feel like the house is mine anymore. You know, it's like these unwanted guests, uninvited. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
No, Brian, you're right. When we, my wife and I, when we lived in Massachusetts a few years ago, we were on like 2 acres, and it was all wooded property with protected wetlands behind us, so it wasn't like a neighborhood, style house. And we learned, brand new construction, that just maintenance wise, we had to have bait traps and stuff put outside for mice and stuff like that, just as part of maintenance. Living in that environment like that. But yeah, it's a weird feeling to feel like I'm like, what the fuck do I have to deal with mice in a brand new house? But it was just the nature of the woods and stuff, and it was, every 90 days, they'd come out and check the bait traps. And when they explain to you how that works, you're like, okay, it's kind of gross, but okay.
I kind of felt like that when my parents told me I was having a sibling and they brought him home. Like, I was just like, get rid of him.
See, what for those? So what you guys don't know, that room that Dave's in is a room upstairs in my house, and I've been trying to bait Dave to get the fuck out of my house for a long time.
I cohabitate with all kinds of things, spiders and silverfish.
You probably call them down for supper.
Some mice.
Supper,
silverfish. What's a silverfish? What the fuck?
Like a millipede?
Is that just a
millipedes?
Whoa.
Yeah, they kind of disintegrate when you kill them. Like you see their legs and that's it.
For real?
Not really. I mean, you crush them and they're going.
Oh, you get the big ones then.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh god.
Silverfish are small.
Oh yeah.
Silverfish tend to be really small. So you get it's
in
fucking real centipedes.
We get some of them. They're as long as my finger. They're huge.
Oh,
but
man.
it's a very, very old house. This house is over 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's, and it's kind of big, so there's a lot of space for little critters.
It's JD who invaded their space.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the invader.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it always does kind of come down to the environment, because growing up in the Bronx, sometimes you're not always in the best living conditions. So yeah, mice might be something you have to deal with, and then you just have to be okay with the fact that you're gonna have cucarachas living rent free with you. You know what I'm saying?
Just help me out, you bum. Clean up after yourself.
So it just is what it is sometimes, Oh man. All right. G Money, what's up, dude?
Dude, what's going on? So this is an okay weekend, pretty busy working wise, but felt like 2006 because I caught up to a popular show on HBO from 15 years ago, and finally realized what's all this talk about this show called The Sopranos I'd never watched before. So,
did you dig it? Did you think overall it was was it worth the hype, worth everything you've heard about it?
Yeah, it was very entertaining. Brian warned me, and he was right because I was binging all 6 seasons, and it's very dated now, right? It started like 20 years ago. Just for whatever reason, one of those shows I'd never watched, and I was like, oh, got something new. So it was good, but it does kind of like anything else. It warps your mind when you binge something that much, right? The way you start wanting to talk to people, and your outlook on the world
is not really fucking kill somebody. Like you want to whack somebody off at work or something.
No, it's like this. But I've already committed to any ROC swaps, that we do at the New Jersey show. I'm gonna make sure I have like envelopes full of money and just kind of do the hug when you see people and just kind of hand them the sealed envelope like that for stuff, and you don't talk about it. You just kind of put it away, right? You just
Gary, what happens to me? It's like you meet people, and you're always like, I wonder what this guy's agenda is, kind of thing.
And I need a pinky ring too.
Go ahead. Jerry, it's not actually really dated because the Turnpike is pretty much stayed the same as it was when you see him driving through it at the beginning of the episode.
No way, Dom. Dude, they changed the split. The split's not at 8A anymore. It's like all the way up, and you got these extra lanes. It's great.
Right on the iPass. You don't have to buy the ticket, right? You can just use your Easy Pass to your iPass
over the bridge. Yeah, you don't have to use. You don't have to get the tickets. The tolls were removed. Some of them. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
On the Parkway.
So after watching, however many seasons of that, did you feel like you had to start watching something a little bit more positive and optimistic to get?
Yeah. So I told you guys, I did 2 things. I watched that show on Netflix that Love, Death and Robots. Did I mix it up?
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. It was good. A bunch of short stories. Some better than others. Definitely adult theme. So that was kind of got through that pretty quick. And then I went back to an old favorite of mine and started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Not the movie, the
live action,
the cartoon.
The cartoon.
No. The
live action film.
I was like, I need to watch something that has an inspiring message about, just stuff. So I went
Gary,
back to that.
if you need to get your mind right, I watched a movie last weekend called Christopher Robin. Give that a try.
Oh, the Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, the Winnie the Pooh. I'm gonna watch that one. I heard a lot of people talk.
Obi-Wan's in it. You gotta watch it.
Yeah, man.
It's live. It's a live film. It's not animated. Never heard of that.
Yeah, that's it for me, though.
All right, nice. It's got Haley Atwell in it too. Lovely.
Cool. Gotta check it out now. All right, JD, what's up, dude?
Yo, greetings and salutations. My beautiful sacks of meat.
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. My weekend was a little stressful.
Was it?
Otto, my male dog, he was kind of dragging his legs around and wouldn't do a whole lot of anything. Like he was in a lot of pain, so I took him to the emergency vet, or we took him to the emergency vet, and they did some x-rays, blood work, and some other tests, and he has Lyme disease, and he's on medicine for that now, but the biggest thing that I'm worried about is they found on his 10th, 11th, and 12th vertebrae, they found it's called narrowing, I guess, where it's deteriorating, it's kind of crumbling.
Is that a result of the Lyme, or is that
No,
just a
it's
thing?
just a
some
breed.
freak thing. But the Lyme, I guess, irritated it because he was swelling. You know, like his spine was swelling, and that was like cutting off the nerves and everything. So he was like couldn't really move his legs all that well. He couldn't make his mind up whether he wanted to sit or stand up or lay down. You know, he was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
But I mean, he seems to be doing okay now. He still hasn't eaten much, but yeah.
That's the worst, man.
And how old is he, JD?
He'll be 8 on
Oh, wow.
May 3rd.
You know, like me and Dave, you know, mentioned that to each other a bunch of times. You know, he has a dog. I got Asia. You know what I'm saying? Those things, you know, your pets are like your kids. You know what I'm saying? It's like family. You know, so it's like I sometimes, you know, you hear about situations like that and it automatically makes me tear up because then I think about it like, what if that was Asia? You know,
Exactly.
it's like, damn, you know, it's tough, man. Glad to hear that he's doing a bit better. You know,
Yeah, I mean, he's moving around. He's, you know, I got to yell at him every now and again, like, "Hey, slow down, slow down." Because he's like, we're trying to kind of the whole spine thing. We're trying to like, you know, prepare ahead. Like, keep it like let him heal as much as he can while he's on his medication right now, and hopefully, when we go back to get X-rays or whatever to check it. Hopefully it'll be something that's not gonna be that big of an issue. So, but like I said, he's on the mend. He's doing a bit better. He's running around, trying to run around.
Yep. Well, I'm glad to hear he's doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other, that's shitty as far as like the weekend goes. Any highlights you could speak of, or was that just it?
I mean, not really. I mean, hanging out with Chan is always a highlight.
What are you trying to get brownie points?
Yeah.
Well, I hung out with my girl,
He wants to make sure he gets.
Just want to make sure I get my cookie tonight.
No, I was about to say he's about to have brownies delivered in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, he just said that. You know she's listening. So I'm like, oh, he's gonna get a big treat tonight.
And her daughter was here this weekend, and that was fun. It's always nice to hang out. And her son's here now, and we went and picked him up yesterday. So it's always good to get to see everybody hang out and goof around and make fun of each other, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So.
Nice. My weekends don't even ask me because they're always low key. I'm not spending like any money. I'm just trying to spend as little money as possible. So what that means is I'm just home all weekend watching Netflix, playing video games.
Oh, you're not cuddling? You're not cuddling,
drink,
Jose? You're not cuddling and loving?
Well, that's not the kind of stuff we talk about here.
Oh, please. Guy talks about pissing on people. Come on.
Oh, you listened to the last episode of
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
That's a good plug.
I gotta work it in. All right. So you know what? Dave during his intro, he was bringing up something about getting the new displays, and he was like, "Hey, like now, like I got so much space, and now I'm gonna have to get more shit." And that's kind of one of the questions I wanted to throw out to you guys. Just is like, have you guys ever given any thought into like what we are getting out of this hobby, and to hear the excitement that Dave was saying earlier, like, hey, I built this piece, the display piece. I put some stuff in it, saved a lot of room. He got excited to be like, hey, like now I want to fill up all this space that I got here. And I'm sure you got a ton of shit you could fill it with.
Yeah. I don't need new shit. I was just being silly.
Yeah. But you were excited. You were like, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? So you're obviously an aspect that you're getting out of collecting is excitement. There's a fun factor to it, no?
Yeah, well, essentially, anybody that's been listening for a long time or anybody that knows me, my shit was sitting in boxes for a long time, and even with the room being halfway done for the last like few months, believe it or not, a lot of that shit's still in boxes, so being able to pull, like, just pull a few things out of the box and actually start posing it, you know, putting it the accessories together, you know, making it kind of cohesive with everything else that's going around. You know, it was fun. It was like, oh shit, like now it's time. You know, prior to that, I was throwing everything in these Detolfs, and I still had room in the Detolfs, but I knew that was going to fill up pretty quick. And I wasn't really content with that. And I was like, you know, when I get this cabinet up, I'm going to see where it goes. So the cabinet itself, it's long. You know, it's probably about 4 feet long. So I'm able to put multiple items together that go along with one another. You know, like I have a shelf of, and I'll show you guys one day, or I'll show you guys after the show. It's all, you know, A New Hope. I have all the figures all on one shelf. And I always thought about doing that. And I couldn't do that until I had that. Like I could have done that in the Detolfs, but they would have been 2 in one in the other. Mm-hmm. You know, it would have been kind of separate, you know. So now that I have more space, it's like, okay, cool. Now I could actually start really deciphering what I'm going to do in this room. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I didn't think that cabinet was going to come up, and it was just a dead wall. You know, dead wall and less, you know, less furniture essentially to put anything in. So now that that's here, I'm like, fuck, it's game time. You know, so within a few months, I should have a better idea where I'm going with my collection.
Dave, well, what else do you have that would go in Detolfs?
Exactly, right? I thought the same. Like,
okay,
so I still have a lot of 1/6 stuff that's not out. And it's still in boxes. I'm taking my time. You know, I take like 2-3 figures out a day. I don't really want to fast forward that, because then I'm losing the enjoyment when you do that, you know? So I kind of spent some time with each figure while I was, you know, putting them out. So I was thinking the same, like, what am I going to, I don't know what else is going to go in the Detolfs, but at least the space underneath it, at one point I thought that's where they were going to go, because that cabinet was never going to come up. So like the remainder. So now the space underneath it, I have Vestas, which I can put shelves in, and you can basically put anything in those, as long as you do it the right way.
I got an idea. This is a great idea. For your Transformers, are you collecting season 1, season 2? Or are you like all over the place?
Season 1, season 2, season 3.
All right.
And you know, the reformatted stuff.
How many Detolfs do you have there? Looks like
8.
8. All right. So you know how Zeta's making these big ass combiners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that other company, you know. I say take out the middle shelf of all those Detolfs, or at least some of them, and put the combiner in the middle, and then you can spread out your smaller bots on the top and bottom underneath them. I think that's a good idea. We should start tonight. Let's do it.
Here's a credit card. Let's go.
Oh, that's right. You need combiners first.
You need to buy combiners.
Oh, shit. Actually, I take it back. Omega won't fit in there, so therefore the whole idea doesn't work. Never mind. Take it back.
Back to the drawing board.
So that's a work in progress.
Yeah, but Dave, all right. So you know, with the displays and stuff, and you were talking about like you might, you know, in a bit more time, you might see the direction your collection wants to go. You know what I'm saying? So like, is that like the main focus? Like, do you like? I mean, and you're still in flux because you're setting that room up. But is that the thing? Like, is it like a thing that you're gonna come home from work, you're gonna sit in that room and just basically like enjoy like the pieces you got? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I do that now. Like, I'll even come up here like randomly. I'll be downstairs, and I hadn't come up in the room at all, and I'll just go up there, and I have everything plugged in to its its own light source, so with one switch, so I could turn everything on one by one. I come in here and I just turn them all on with the lights off. I'm like, this is nice. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. You know, my kid comes up here. She loves it in here. She comes in and she's like, Daddy, which one you like? Which one you like? I said, I like them all. She's like, now she comes in. I say, which one you like? She goes, I like them all, Daddy. You know, my wife will come up here, and they're between my daughter and my wife, you know, the dog will be here too. They'll all be on the floor just here. And my wife was looking around, and she's like, it's starting to come together. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, you know, little by little, it's coming together. you know, and she'll put her insight in, and I think that's cool. You know what I mean? Because she's, you know, she's backing me up. You know, she's
yeah.
So
it must make you super happy to hear your daughter like commenting like on all this stuff, right? Like, what isn't that like the daddy's greatest dream, like for your daughter or your child, you know, to be into the things that you're into, like, you know?
She knows the difference between Star Wars and Transformers. That's all I could ask for. she's a little afraid of the trolls and stuff, the Mythic Legion stuff. Like, I'll ask her to go pick it up for me, and she goes, "No, don't like it, Daddy." I'm like, all right, you don't got to touch it. But she's kind of freaked out by that stuff. But it's funny to see her, how she reacts when I tell her she can touch something, because she knows she can't. So when she does, her face just like, it gets that weird, like, you know, like, am I really allowed to do this face? And then, you know, like the Ninja Turtles, I had taken them out, the NECA ones, and I said, here. It's almost half the size of her, you know, she's tiny. So she's like, Daddy, too big, heavy. I don't like it. Like, she didn't want to hold it because she knew that she wasn't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just cool to see how she knows the difference between her toys and mine.
Yeah.
You know,
that's good. Yeah. That's good. Especially if you're showing her, you know, she knows the difference. Like, Asia knows instinctively, bro, because before she used to just like chew up whatever, like, you know, my glasses, I've gone through like 3 pairs of glasses. She used to chew them up if I, you know, left them around. But if I leave my figures laying around, like, sometimes she gets curious, but she never touches them, like, never. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, good.
She knows.
I'll whip that ass.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm sure there's horror stories out there of, you know, pets chewing up people's figures. Might be interesting to hear one day. But that's cool to hear, man. I just wanted to like run that down the panel. I want to know, like, because I know we've been into these franchises since we've been young, and that's kind of a main reason probably why we even still collect to this day. But it's just interesting to hear, like, if there's just anything in particular or just anything currently, as far as that you can pinpoint, as far as what you're getting out of the hobby, what you're getting out of the collecting, because, you know, we all have that drive. Like, let's get this newest piece. You know, we're waiting for that newest piece to come out. We get excited when we hear about, you know, something new, you know, and that has to come from somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, all of us are not enjoying our collections in the same way. Not all of us have our stuff on display, you know? So, you know, sometimes you could feel like, where's the excitement, you know, if I'm just going to get something, you know, mess with it, you know, for a day or something, and then I'm going to put it in a box and throw it on a pile, like, you know, and then you're not being able to enjoy it until like a later time, you know? So it's good to hear, like, when you could be like, hey, like, I'm coming home and, you know, after a fucking long day of work, and you could just sit back and enjoy your collection. Like, that's a reason for doing it, like, so to speak. Like, Gary, like, I know you're interested. You don't get into like entire lines. You kind of just pick pieces here and there. You know, is that something that's good enough, like, for you when you know, with your collecting? And I know it's okay, you know, but you get out of that, you know?
I think for me, so I've had a pretty wide range of interests, and I'll just say in the last like 4 years, we've lived in 3 different places. 2 houses, and now like this apartment, which we knew was temporary. So I knew that coming into this. And before I was really active in the ROC and knew you guys or anybody else, and it was just kind of Gary buying toys, right? And I discovered third party. I had a really nice display room again in our old house. And then when we moved to Delaware, I had a room there, had a nice display, but it wasn't as fancy. So that feeling Dave is describing, I didn't get as much out of that second, you know, environment, because it was smaller, and I set it up differently, and it didn't end up working out. And then before I could revamp it, you know, we moved here. So now, you're right. You know, it's really changed a lot for me to keep the interest. I've tried to follow some of your guys' advice who've been through this. I look at ideas and designs because, you know, this isn't our permanent spot. I know that. So when we're in the next house again, I can really decide what's going to work. You know, I like looking at other people's collections. I find myself looking more at furniture, you know, and display options, just so I can figure out what that's going to look like. And then in terms of the collecting of the items, it's certainly slowed down a bit. And I used to be a lot more of buy something, put it on a shelf, enjoy looking at it, now I'm to your point, Jose. I like to have something I can kind of manipulate, because I don't have as much stuff out, So I'll share a quick example. Like I did rebuy, and kind of spontaneous, and Dave gave me some shit for it. But I bought that convention Astrobots, the Apollo, like the weathered one that BBTS had with like the cloak and the different paint scheme, just because I knew it'd be a fun toy to mess around with and pose and look at it. And it's not super expensive. It's not super fragile. They're pretty durable. For that reason, just so I can put it anywhere in the room I'm in right now and just kind of mess with it. And it doesn't have to be a permanent fixture, I guess, in terms of what the collection looks like.
Yeah. Is that something you feel like is going to be something you're just holding on to temporarily? You'll eventually get rid of it?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, look, I certainly flex the collection quite a bit, but at the same time, while I'm looking at ideas,
also your triceps.
It is. I still love the shopping aspect of the collecting and the looking and watching reviews and getting ideas. I'm really looking forward to NJCC. It's not a huge show, but I'm not really selling a lot of stuff this time around for me. And I want to spend a little more time just looking around. I had a lot of fun at the ZoloCon, right? Just kind of walking around and looking, through the tables and stuff and searching for things out. So I find myself being definitely more selective in the purchasing for right now.
Okay. That's interesting that you say that, though, because I think that's something that we all kind of struggle with. I think we've kind of spoke about it in the past. It's kind of like, when you're checking out at the supermarket and, the impulse buy, they have the little candy or the chocolate or whatever that might be there when you're checking out. So you're going to be more than likely to just, okay, let me just throw this on there, And
it is true. Like, and you guys are gonna rip on me in a second anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I've always said, like, right when you're getting rid of an item, long before these Netflix shows and everyone else was talking about it, I really did buy into the fact that if you no longer really want something, but you want to remember it, dude, you can take pictures of it, right? And you can kind of remember the story that goes with the item if you don't need the thing anymore. So that's always kind of helped me. Now I find almost like this wish book that. What are you laughing at?
Gary doesn't collect toys; he collects photo albums.
Listen,
Gary, you can just take pictures of everybody else's toys, right? And just
no. What I'm getting at is because I'm debating on the different display ideas and trying to look for things that are creative that isn't going to be exactly the same as what everybody else has done. When I see pieces of furniture or ideas, not in this hobby specifically, so I don't forget, I'm capturing that stuff so I can kind of have an idea of what the next display is going to look like. Because I will say this, like we've said this conversation many times and I'm rambling, but if you collect, you're almost always going to collect something. And there's no shortage of product that's coming out. So the fear of missing out on something now doesn't worry me as much because I feel like there's always going to be, a newer version or an updated version of most of this stuff. So, I'm trying to take the excitement into what the collection could look like in the future with a combination of what I still have versus, the future interests. So.
Gary, I got a question for you, right? So I know how you collect, right? You see something you like, you buy it, right? And you might, depending on if you like it that much, you'll keep it. If not, you'll be like, you know what? Bye-bye. See you later.
Yeah.
Is there anything out there, any genre fiction collection that you see yourself down the line when you are settled in the home that you're not leaving from, completing? Like a full set of something that Gary would like to have?
That's a good question. I'd really have to think about that. So I don't know I don't know.
Would you go back to Masters of the Universe, Gary? Would you get
I wouldn't go
at
back.
Least the basic? No. Because I know you were in on that line in the beginning and you got a lot of that stuff.
I think this is almost a different topic, but there's been a few, kind of the Grail piece we're around a lot that I've had a chance to own for a long time. And I don't feel the need to go back. I think I'm more excited to see what it looks like, kind of future wise.
Yeah.
In terms of stuff, because there's some cool stuff coming out. You know what I mean?
I
look at that.
Okay, say not going back. Say when you do settle in and you get this place, and say some company, not Super 7, but some company gets the license of Masters of the Universe, and they put out the whole a whole set of characters that you can get the main characters, and would you pick up that whole set and get that
I don't know if I'd have to do the same thing, but I'd go back to a line for sure. Okay. You know what I mean? Like I would absolutely go back to I'd even be tempted to. I know it's not a huge topic on this group, but when G.I. Joe hit its stride, right, and not the 25th anniversary stuff like 07, 08, but when they hit that Pursuit of Cobra line where they were really realistic figures and the quality was, I think, at its best peak ever before they transitioned into Renegades and then came into the movie stuff. Like that was a great line. Like if that came out again, in that term, I'd be open to go back to a line that I had collected before for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think that was an interesting point, though.
But what I brought up, I wouldn't buy the old stuff again. Sorry.
Yeah. But if you saw somebody who just comes out with some line, a line that you loved before, and you they put it out, it's a decent price. It's not, you're not going back paying a lot of money for the old stuff. It's just something that you can grab. Would you? I think today's question: would you complete that, or would you that's
not in me.
No, yeah. Okay.
I just, it's not. I mean, I literally, God, it's gonna make fun of me too, but so I have my favorite turtle from the NECAs, from the movie Turtles. Mm-hmm. I thought I wanted the whole set, and I just ended up getting Leonardo, and I have one turtle. Who does that besides me? I guess, right?
There's some poor guy out there with 3 turtles.
That's crazy as fuck. But you've always been like that, dude. You've never been a completionist.
NECA probably didn't just make we're just gonna make 80 Leonardos and 60 Donatellos and 60 Michelangelos.
Somebody out there's
a Leonardo.
He's never gonna find it until Gary sells his.
But and I don't want to monopolize the conversation. It's just funny though, because it truly is. Like I've said this, I think a few times before. I wasn't like that kid that got a whole bunch of one line. You know what I mean? As a kid, I had a couple Masters Universe. I had a handful of G.I. Joes. I had a handful of Transformers. And I think I just knew, when you look at the packages, right? Especially like G.I. Joe, and you look at the characters on the back, mm-hmm. or the Masters Universe on the cards, right? And you're mm-hmm. Or even like the advertisements, like the Sears catalog, or the Montgomery Wards, or whatever, when they have the toys posed and with the scenery and stuff like that, and the dios, just staring at, okay, I have to pick one of these. I'm only going to get one, so I got to make it count, type of thing. So I think it just eliminated that concept of having to get them all,
Gary, is there a line or a fiction where you adore every character and would want to get all of them?
So the closest line for me, and this is going to maybe sound a little strange, would have been maybe Mask, right? If that was the case. But see, for me, because of just my interest, the vehicles are the characters in that case, if that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So I would love a modern Thunderhawk, based on an 80s Camaro, or the Manta based on the 80s 300ZX type of thing.
1/6
I would love it.
Scale, 1/12 scale.
Oh no, I would, if they were 1/12 scale for 6-inch figures, I'd be I'd spend a lot of money on that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, because it's hard to find. That's why I had Crashbox make me, the van and the Jurassic Park F-150 and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just because to me those are almost like characters. Like if you give me the Mad Max Interceptor, the Australian Ford Falcon from 1979 mm-hmm. with a 6-inch Mad Max figure, I'd be all over it in a second. Yeah. You could name your price, right? In a second.
Well, what about
Toys money?
The Hot Toys DeLorean, right? Have you seen that in person, or the Batmobile?
I have. I used to own the Batmobile. I had the 89. I had the 89 Keaton Hot Toys Batmobile. I didn't even have a Batman figure to go with it. I literally had the Batmobile.
So what about a Rhino or a Thunderhawk? With Thunderhawk with the gold doors, wings open, on display. Would that just be the bee's knees for you?
It would do it. Yep. You know that meme with Fry from Futurama where he says, "Shut up and take my money."
Kind of look like Fry.
Dude, Dude,
Kind of. I think that's always been a boon for Gary, man. That he's never all in on a line. Like you save a lot of money that way. Like, and then you don't feel like you have to be a slave to any line in general. You know, you could just kind of be one and done with a piece if you're just okay with that. You know, like that's a good thing. There's something
yeah. It can be a bit of a mixed feeling though, because we joke about Leonardo, right? But like if I went to the store and I found like the other three and not the one I wanted, right? Like I'm the guy that I'm not going to buy one of the other ones just to buy something, and I'm going to be stressed trying to find the one versus when you do the whole line, you're like, oh, they have 2 or 3 or they have 3 or 4 or whatever, and you pick them up and you realize you'll see the other ones, right? Eventually, I'm like digging as an adult, looking through, you know, pegs and stuff, still trying to see, do they have this one? Does it have this one?
Yeah. And I thought your point before was good too, about like sometimes about not going back. Like selling a lot of masterpiece. I've had the opportunity to check a lot of those figures out. I'd be like, hey, maybe I'd buy some of those pieces back to have on for a display or whatever. But I think I'm leaning towards not. It's like I got to check those figures out. I enjoyed them for when I had them, and then you just always do get the sense of there's going to be something new or something better eventually coming out. Why not just wait for the newer, better version? Sometimes I feel like I don't have to go back like either. And then now you just brought up another aspect of everything, like stress. Like the stress of maybe having to collect, because a lot of us, maybe the reasons that we're doing this and that we're even in this for the first place is for the reasons of maybe stress relief. We all deal with real life. There's all things that we go through that, stress is an aspect of daily life for anybody, and a hobby like this could be seen as stress relief. But sometimes there are aspects of this hobby that make it stressful, having that perfect display, being able to find the figure like you're looking for. It's first world problems. I know.
Having a topic for a podcast.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's the thing.
Hope you choke on that coffee, Brian.
The thing
Wise
that you thought you'd be into for stress relief, like, is actually bringing you more stress. Like, that's an interesting dichotomy.
Well, it happens, Jose. It happens to me on the regular, and I think it's because I'm partially a slave to the game, like you just said before. Like, I got myself into so many lines that, like, the pre-orders don't stop. They don't wait for nobody. You know what I mean? Unless you stack at BBTS or whatever. Even then, they're gonna charge you when the shit comes in.
Yeah, but can't you control that though? Like, can't you just tell yourself, like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna go.
Well, that it's like the discussion we had a few weeks ago. Do you pre-order or not? And then what happens when you have 17 out of 20 figures and you're missing the 3, and now you got to pay triple the amount to get them because you want to complete it. Like, that I have the opposite of what Gary has. I have that completionist attitude. Like, not with every line, but with certain lines. Like, I'm like, I need to have every figure, or I need to at least have the main ones.
Yeah.
And they just keep dropping. They keep dropping. They keep getting better. And when you're spread the way I am, across different lines, they could all hit you in one time. Like, like I think December and January were rough months for me. Like, rough. Like, fucking Mezco and Figuarts and all these companies that when people are complaining about Chinese New Year, I'm not complaining because I got all this other shit that came in. Everybody's saying, oh, nothing Transformers is coming out. Cool. That gives me a break for a little bit, Yeah. I don't want them to come out as fast as they do, but they do. There was a Yoda SH Figuart that sold out, I think, within a few days, a few weeks ago. And, I think Eric hit me up and he was like, hey, do you know anybody else that's selling this? It sold out quick. And I'm like, shit, if I would have...
The Figuarts Yoda sold out?
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, you can get it on BBTS, but BBTS is charging you $1.25 or something like that, like 110.
Yeah, 110, 110, 120.
But if you would have pre-ordered it on one of the import sites, you would have got it for half that price, like $65, right? Something like that, 70 maybe.
I thought it was
you'd save $30. You'd save $30 at least compared to BBTS price, But
I think it was like $78 it came out to, like,
Something like that. But
Anime export, yeah.
still significant savings. Anything
that
over
one,
$10 is a savings for me. Like,
and that one actually went against our theory because I was I was to think that BBTS would put it for the same price as the export sites, but no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they fucking jacked it up.
Tom, we talked about that, and well, dude, I would have appreciated a heads up because,
dude, I didn't know. Like, I was banking on it too, and I said, "Fuck it."
It's still available. It's still available on Anime Export.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want this one.
There you go. Now you got mad at me. You fucking buy it.
I guarantee if that shit was sold out everywhere, he'd be like, you know what? I need that.
He'd be like, I need it now. I need it now.
It's the fear of missing out. It's a real thing.
But haven't we learned at this point? Like, I think Brian brought it up a couple of weeks ago, and Dave, I don't know if you've hit that point yet, since you're putting things on display and you're unpacking a lot of things. Like, have you not hit that wall yet where you're coming to a point where you're going through the shit you got and you're like, oh man, I bought this, I didn't even remember having this. Why did I buy this? Like, why did I buy you? So, and you spent the money, like where almost you didn't have to, you just did it because it's like, I gotta get something, and then you come to realize, like, I didn't need this. So what was the point? Like, right?
Right. It happened. It's happening to me, but at the same time, I'm not out there. I'm not out there shopping for new stuff right now. Like, I'm literally not out there looking to buy anything new. But it's the pre-order shit that's already got me. It's got a hold of me. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that I've already started that keeps dropping.
So you're just getting shit out of habit, like, so you almost feel obligated in a way, like not because you're enjoying it. It's just like, hey, I've gotten all these pieces, I just got to keep going in.
Let me rephrase that. So, like, it's not that I feel obligated, but it's like, for example, some of the stuff I opened, I can't get that at retail anymore. Some of the stuff I can't get it. So if I would have put that New Hope shelf up, and not been able to find one of the characters, which you can basically find them all still, relatively for a decent amount of money. But I might have got a break on it when I bought it. I might have saved $50 as opposed to buying it today, or $60, So it's either it's pay now or pay more later. That's the way I see it. So I'm like, you know what? I'll deal with it now. In worst case, I'll flip it if I don't want it anymore.
So I don't know if it was in the groups or if it was on an episode of Building Up to It, but I know Chris was kind of talking that and I had to really agree with his sentiment that you reach a point sometimes where maybe you don't feel the need to have a representation in toy form of every line, every character, every fiction, right, every whatever it looks like. You don't need to always have that physical representation of it. To still enjoy the property, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think some people in the community are wrestling with that very thing. Like, some that might have, these complete, displays with almost every character available, and maybe you might be realizing that's not what makes you happy. Like, would you be okay with just, hey, I could have, these 5 characters, and that could represent my love for the franchise.
You mentioned the is it the Mafex, the John Wick? Was that what you had, Jose? Like, it shipped?
Yeah.
Did you have it coming to you? And like, I'll just say, like, that first movie, right? Before, again, I knew anybody in the ROC. When was that? It came out 2014. It was just me kind of watching it on my own, discovering it, and just seeing the whole story. I freaking loved that movie. And I was tempted when you were talking about it. I was like, do I need a representation of that character and that guy? I'm like, I really don't. You know what I mean? I can love the movie as much and not have to have that, seeing a toy of that particular thing. I don't need to have that for every single thing that I really like, I guess.
Yeah, I've come to that realization too, just because it's like, man, like, I mean, if you have the means and you have the space and you could just get everything, then great, but when you can't, you have to be okay with like one or the other. So there are a lot of things, like, I'm a huge comic book fan, but I've come to realize when it comes to like collecting action figures or whatever, like, I'm getting the most enjoyment, like, let's say, out of Transformers, like the transforming action figures and that aspect. I love Superman, I love Batman, I love the Flash, you know, and I'm buying comics and I have trades and, you know, and I've had figures of those characters, but that's not my focus of collecting right now. So I almost feel like I'm okay without that stuff. Like without having that representation of that, I got my comic books and that's okay. Like that's enough. I got the movies, that's okay. Like that's enough. I don't have to have that extra when it comes to certain things. And since I'm just being picky and choosy, it's like, okay, I enjoy the Transformers the most, so that's where I'm gonna stick with, you know. Yeah, so that's interesting, you know. Like being able to realize, like, hey, like, damn, do I need a representation of this in disc form, in toy form? You know, I know that's a harder choice for some than others because, like I said, we all enjoy this shit. So it's like, if you can have it, like, have at it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a sucker.
Collect it all. You know.
So, you're a sucker, JD.
So why, JD? Explain why. Why you're a sucker?
Well, I don't know. More so, like I love building stuff to display them with. So like I'll see, you know, all the new Turtles stuff that came out. I'm like, yeah, I gotta have these because that's really cool.
That compounds to when you like you look at toys and I want to acquire these or buy these because I can display them or build something that I can put them in front of or display.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to more like, you know, it just sparks creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And is that what you love, JD? Is that what brings you to collecting?
I mean, it didn't. It was more so just the nostalgia. You know what I mean? This is shit I had when I was a little kid, and whether I had all those figures as a kid or not, it doesn't matter. You know, again, it's like the completionist.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta have them all. I can't have just Leonardo. I gotta have them all. You know?
That's where like that's funny, JD, when you say that because that's where I'm at. Like, you know, I didn't get them all when I was a kid because obviously I had constraints and my father didn't want to buy them all for me, and spoil me in that way. But so when I grew up and I acquired the means to get them all, I then made sure I did get them all.
Well, and that's I mean, that's the beauty of being an adult and collecting. You have that choice to say, hey, I want all of these. But you know, now that I'm older, or now that I guess my collection, I mean, it's not really more refined, but like I'll see stuff and it's like now it's more of a matter of I can really see a cool display that I could build for these.
It's another layer to your collecting that has extended your love for what you're doing.
I mean, I don't know. Like I've said it before, it just helps me appreciate, you know, the artistry that has gone into it so far, and I'd like to further that. You know, one thing I've always wanted to do, like, if I could have my dream job, I would make toys.
Make toys, yeah.
And you know, JD, that's something I really admire about you is like, if they don't make a figure, you'll make it. You're like, you know what? You'll use your imagination and you'll somehow put it together. And some of the stuff you've done looks better than the stuff that's out there in the stores. So,
well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like your collecting has encouraged, I guess, created a new love or a new found love in what you're doing now, right, JD? In a sense,
absolutely.
So your collecting took you to this point, and now you found a new love that you do that supports, or it's another supporting aspect of your collecting.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
You know, and like to JD's point, like, you know, I feel like, you know what, being an adult and, you know, Dom, like you said, you didn't have them all, you want to buy them all now. You know, like, we only live once. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you hear that shit all the time.
Exactly.
But if this is a passion you have, this is something you're into, you know, do it. Just fucking do it, because you don't know what's going to happen, you know, down the line. You know what I mean? We're not guaranteed forever. So just fucking do what you got to do.
And it's funny that you said that, Dave, because I remember I was collecting at first, and my father got a caught glimpse of what I was doing and saw the toys I was acquiring, and he didn't approve. He didn't approve, and I upset at him. And I felt bad. I really did feel bad. And I sold it all. I sold everything that I acquired that that I enjoyed doing, and then getting them because I wanted them.
Wow.
Because and I sold them all. And within 6 months, I realized that why did I do that? I did it to make my father happy, but it didn't make me happy. So I was like, fuck that. There's a lot of things, a lot of feedback my parents have given me over my time, and I know where my father came from. I know where his viewpoint was in regards to what I was doing at the time. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to work twice as hard and buy the things I want to buy and still live the life I want to live, because at the end of the day, this is what makes me happy. And that's what it's all about. It's kind of like, if this makes you happy, do it, because you only live once, and living a happy life is better than living a miserable life.
Yeah. How old were you, Dom, when you did that? When you sold your
clothes? It was early. It was when I was right out of college. It was like I was like 21, and I acquired some pieces through I started collecting when I was a sophomore in college, and I went back and bought some of all the G1 figures, and I acquired a good amount of them, and he asked me how, at about a year and a half into work after college, how much money I've saved up, and I didn't save up that much money because I was buying toys, and he got really disappointed and upset at me, and he said, like, you did all this hard work in college to get a good job and make money and save money, and this is not this is not what you do. This is not what you're supposed to do, and he, in an aspect, he was right. He's not totally wrong, but I made sure that at that, the lesson I learned there was that I shouldn't spend all my money on toys. I would spend some of my money on toys and put some away in the bank to have a saving, have a nest that you should have, so you can enjoy other things in life other than your hobby. So.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, because he, just kind of wants to make sure you're doing the right thing. But it's interesting because I think back in the day, I mean, I didn't have a lot of time with my dad as an adult. Like, I wish I had more time. I didn't, so what I could remember when it came to the collecting aspect and what he thought of it, like I was younger, and at the age I almost feel like you can't call it collecting, because you're just kind of getting figures, you're messing with them.
Yeah.
It's not like what we're doing now as adults. Like we're getting figures and we're messing with them. But we're a lot more careful with them. We're more aware of the value of these things, as opposed to when we're kids, we're just doing whatever with the figures. So I remember, because of his upbringing, like the way you said your dad was, he didn't see a lot of value in figures and stuff like that.
But like over the years, when I stuck to it, he saw that I sold them all. Like, he knew I sold them all. He knew it was hard for me to do that, and he respected me for it, and knew that look, I told my son to do something, and he did it. And but like eventually, when I decided again to buy him, he didn't get mad at me. He realized that at that particular point in time, I was I was a man and not a boy anymore, and I'm going to make my decisions. And I'm going to live with him. So he didn't offer the same discipline that he would as a child. So he just let me do what I wanted to do, made sure that I was, that it reminded me to save money. And, I did. And, at the end of the day, he's seen eventually as my collection grew and what I could, what they valued to, I was like, he now sees what I saw back then. And, I believe me, and he knows now, and he supports what I do now. But it's just that, I guess, as a father at that particular critical point in your life, as a young adult, you really need to, your father wants you to save and protect, make sure that you're saving for that rainy day and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that makes sense, because who's really thinking about that?
No, you're not thinking about that when you get your first paycheck, and it's a big one, and this is the money that you worked so hard to get, and all those years in college, and I studied for to get a job, and and all of a sudden, you know, I'm getting a good paycheck and I'm dumping it all in toys. You know,
Yeah.
it's just wasn't a smart thing to do. But like at the end of the day, I was just a kid. You know, I was a young adult that just with a bunch of money that I didn't know what to do with.
Yeah. So that makes sense, and it's good to hear that he's kind of come around, like, and he knows, he knows he's doing the right thing. So
he
like,
gives me shit about it. He's like, "Oh, you see the Bumblebee movie?" You know, he'll fuck around with me. My dad's Italian. You know, he'll fucking dig as much as, you know. That's why I like when Dave does it to me. It doesn't faze me. Like, you know, my dad has been the number one dickhead to me like throughout my life.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that, because like you dealt with that. I've had to deal with that in some way. I don't know if anybody else on the panel has, but it's interesting because like I feel like we might be that last generation that's probably like shit like that's going to be.
I think so. Yeah, like I'm sure there's other people. Like you can't put the blanket around everybody, but like I'm sure there's other people still coming into the country and having that old mentality and you know, saving up to build for a good life and everything like that. And like granted, you know, I'm blessed to the point where, you know, I have all this residual income and I could spend on this, you know, like you said, the first world problem type of things. And, you know, I love it and I'm fortunate for it. And I, you know, pray every night that, you know, that God bless God for all the stuff I can do. But it's hard work, you know, it's hard work. I'm not taking anything back from what I've gained in life and what I've done and all that stuff. But like when I started collecting, the love that I had for is because of, like, you know, childhood and getting the toys and just acquiring them. It's what makes me happy. Displaying is something that I would love and I will do in my lifetime. The thing is that acquiring and having them and knowing that I have them is puts a smile on my face. And knowing that I have the toy and I can get the toy and go into my back room, dig it up from a box or a tote that I have. That I know I can go to my friend and say, I have that toy. I have that toy. I have that toy. I have that toy. You know, and then like at the end of the day, you know, it's just something, it gratifies me in a way that makes me feel happy. It relieves stress from me, most definitely. But it, as Dave said, like it also gives me stress in regards to collecting, because, you know, when you're collecting and trying to find something that you missed out on, you know, you have to go buy it and try to find it and get it. And sometimes it's out, you know, overpriced to the point where you might not be able to afford it. But that always makes me work harder, you know, and you know, save a little bit more money to get that item. Because that's all it's all about, you know.
Sometimes that's more gratifying.
Like
when you find something that you can't find and
acquire, and you save up for it, you save up for it, and you finally get it, and you're like, you know what? I got my Voltron. I fucking got it. It's here in my hands. But yeah, it's cool. Like, you know, I think, you know, with all the like, and I'd love to hear from Brian and all the stuff that we said, because, you know, I feel like we all have that common thread. You know, that's what brings us all together. So I'll end it there. But Brian, I would love to hear from you in regards to, you know, what's your nostalgia, what drives you in collecting and all, and your stresses or non-stresses.
Dude, I don't know anymore. It's you know, I was thinking about it. It's hard to believe that everything I see around me has all been acquired since the end of 2012. Yeah. Except for that StarCom stuff over there. But it's like, it's insane. What the fuck's wrong with me? No.
There's nothing wrong with you, Brian.
It's no, these you know, it's I like building things too. You know, I'm not as inclined as JD with building stuff from scratch, but, you know, I like, you know, acquiring things. I like, there's an organization to it, which I like, and sometimes I'm not too good at, but, you know, I like to organize things, and, you know, I'm building a display here, and, you know, it really worries me that, you know, once some of these are done, I feel like it's going to be an accomplishment that's like, okay, I've done that. It's time to move on to something else, right? So that kind of worries me. That's kind of how my personality works sometimes.
I love the question though. You asked yourself like, and I think we've all, like, we talked about it before. We've all asked ourselves maybe at one point or another that, what the fuck am I doing? And I think that's just really that adult part of our brain.
But when you step back and you see the piles and piles of toys, sometimes you're like, what the fuck? Like,
But
it's
like,
it does get shocking after a while. But
yeah, but it's like, but I don't know what I would have done with the money I spent on this anyway. I don't know. I might have kids. I don't know. I mean,
it's a waste of time, Brian. What are you talking about?
right? I mean, there's a lot more interesting things you can get through mail order overseas, from what I understand. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
But
He would have been on his fourth bride by
My
now.
name is Walter.
and,
Hookers and cocaine.
I'll take care of those ants problem, Brian.
yeah, these ants are already just weighing on my mind. But no, the other thing too is, when I think back to it, 2012, and then here it is now, 2019. It's like, it's basically, it'll be 7 years come the end of this year, right? But it still feels like, I just started last year. Sometimes I don't know. It's the events that we deal with that helps put a time frame around it for me. It's like, oh wait, TFCon from 3 years ago. That's right. To me, I feel like I have no sense of time when I surround myself with this nostalgic stuff. I mean, I'm looking at our show notes and it says BTM 63. And I'm like, wow, 63 shows. We've been doing this for, wow, over a year. It doesn't even occur to me. That's been.
It's funny that you say that, then, Brian. Yeah. Like, if no sense of time, is that why we feel like this makes us feel young? Because there's no time passed when you encompass yourself with this stuff. Because it's like, you don't feel like time is passing, and it's at the end of the day, it makes that's what makes me feel young.
Yeah. It's only in my knees when I'm walking up the stairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Just think about, like, when we were, like, in elementary school and shit, right? And, like, we all had friends in school, and we all had common interest with our friends in school, and most of the time it was this stuff, the same shit that we're doing at 35 and 40 years old, and we're doing it again. So I don't.
Not in high school, Dave. It was hookers and blow.
Oh, whoa! Shit. For me, it was just hookers and weed. But you said hookers and blow. That was college. No, I'm just kidding.
You're living in the wrong borough, Gary.
No, but honestly, like, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, I'm glad I fucking decided to buy a fucking masterpiece off of eBay overpriced back in 2012 when Brian says he started same time I did.
We all
because you know what, I'm fucking talking to fucking five other dudes that I would have never fucking met if I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
Yeah, the domino effect of what comes from that. You don't realize that, like, the end point, from like where you started. Yeah.
And the creative, like, even what JD says, like the talent or the creative other loves that you would find from collecting. So it's like I said, it's I think it's a good thing, and we all have it inside us, and what like what Gary said one time, just like it's our collective. We're going to be collecting something. It's at the end of the day, it's what we're going to be collecting.
I think we're collecting friends and fucking memories at this moment, like, more than anything else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of us have been dropping lines, some of us are fading back a little bit, but we're still here.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's what Rob said in the chat earlier. As far as like what he's getting out of the collecting and stuff, he's saying he's getting happiness, friendship, and enjoyment out of everything. And I think that's just the underlying thing, is that obviously we're enjoying it, and that's why we do it. If we weren't getting enjoyment out of it or out of this, we wouldn't be doing it. But he said he went through depression for a bit, and he was just buying stuff mindlessly, and now he could go back and look, and each piece of his collection has a story.
Oh yeah.
And probably certain things can be said for us. Like, you might remember a certain piece where you're like, man, I was going through this at this point in life, or I got this piece because of this. There's just might be that thing for you. But that's interesting, to hear that from him. But I think that's the underlying thing, like you said, Dave, that connects us all, not just a hobby. It's the reason why we're in it.
For me, like my childhood was the the introductory period to what we have now with each other and what has brought us together. That's kind of how I look at it. And I've always, I've always kept that in my mind, like, cool, hung out with my friends and played with toys, and we made up our own stories and all that kind of stuff while we played or whatever. And then, just kind of faded out through the years, and it was something that always stayed there in the back of my mind. I was like, why don't I still have this? I don't ever want to let go of that feeling, you know what I mean? And then I feel with everybody in the realm, and the toys have brought us. That's just the, that's the door opening. The toys,
yeah. And
the rest of us to put it there,
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Like when you don't, and you kind of stay in, like in a way, to the things you enjoyed from youth. There's a time we all grow up. I said it earlier. We're all part of the real world. We do what we got to do. But where like many people out there just close that door, like on that aspect of our lives, like we still have that foot in there in a way. And I think Dom, like in a way, it's true. Like besides the way you look, the way you talk, or the way your body might feel, like mentally, like nothing's really changed when it comes to like my love of this stuff from when I was a kid till now. Like if anything, it's grown. And then having, being able to have the means to get like some of the stuff that we're getting has just increased my love for some of these things, like in a way. Like I don't know if that makes sense for the rest of you.
Stay young to the day you die.
Yeah,
yeah, like stay young, man. Stay young. Whatever it takes, whatever you do to do that, because you don't want to run through life and grow up so fast and not enjoy something that you would truly love, and then eventually, you're there at the end, and you're wondering, what happened, what have I truly loved, what have I truly enjoyed. So it's like, do it. But talking about toys, guys, let's go. What was the thing that you saw this weekend from that toy show across the continental U.S. in L.A. that you actually enjoyed? That you got very excited for, or might have sparked your interest again and give you that type of enjoyment. Do you want to run it down the line, or you like that conversion, Jose? Did you like that?
Nice, Tom. I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a segue.
It was a good segue. That's it. Good.
That's it.
You usually don't have to say it was a segue for it to be a segue.
I know, but I wanted to make a point.
Right. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Dom did. So
next week, Dom is the host.
No.
I could have sworn I heard some applause in the background. I was like, wow, that was nicely done.
If you guys want to see me as a host, I think that was episode 12.
Oh man, you know what? The thing that kind of caught my eye, because honestly, it's like, I don't know. That might be another question. Like, how much do you get excited for now that we kind of been in this game a long time? Interesting to see a little bit more from the fans' toys as far as like the combiners and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think like the thing that kind of caught my eye was that MMC Star Convoy, that Galaxy Optimus. Like it's interesting that the official line, Takara Tomy, he's going to put out like a retool of that Power to Prime's Optimus to make that version of Optimus. And now here we got MMC, obviously that thing's been in the works. You had a model or whatever that was there. Like I thought that was just pretty interesting. Just how the official and the unofficial sometimes intersect with the characters that they're releasing. And I enjoyed the announcement that TF Con's coming back to wrestling.
Oh yeah,
and that was I think 2 years ago at this point, right? That was the 2017 TF Con.
17,
That was an awesome venue for that convention. Just the area was very nice. A lot of things to do, a lot of things to eat in the area. You could just enjoy it a lot more than being stuck in the hotel. So that was kind of one of the things that excited me the most out of what came out this past weekend.
Yeah, I think that's probably the top thing for me too. I think my hair stood up on my body when I heard like resting fucking TFCon. Like what? And then everybody started going nuts in every fucking chat and every fucking group. And I'm like, what is going on? And like all of a sudden, like I'm fucking awake and I'm like, holy shit, this is happening.
It's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that the people in LA had a great time, but we all look forward to this. Like we all get together. Like the six of us get together often, but we don't get to see some of the other dudes all the time. And TFCon is that time. And
Mhm.
just being that it's, unfortunately, and again, I'm not trying to rip on the West Coast. We have one coming to the East Coast again at a location that we're all happy about. We're all like, we know that place is dope. Can't wait to go back. And it's here. So, for everybody that was bitching and crying or whatever, like, you got what you wanted now. So you better show up. Don't make excuses. Make it happen. Make it happen. Oh, I didn't plan for it. I didn't think it was going to happen, so I didn't put my vacation time in. Make it fucking happen. Get sick that week.
I applaud
Come
them.
on.
I applaud them. And they're I was surprised that they announced it that they were going to do another show on the East Coast this year. I know they're doing a Toronto show in July, right? So them doing 3 shows a year, that's putting in some work. And it's not easy to put a convention together and put in all that work together. My hands go out to them and applaud them for all the hard efforts and works that they're doing. Obviously, they care, and they of the fandom. I just organization ago there was a BotCon, and it was only one a year, guys. It was one fucking a year, and wherever it was, that's where you had to go. And them doing this, where they're sharing the love across the continent in a year, that's crazy stuff, man.
Yeah,
That's just fucking crazy shit.
Well,
and
Yeah.
I applaud them for it.
It seems like they listen too, because
Yeah.
I've only done 2 shows, and I love the city of Chicago, and I lived there for a very long time. I have family there, but I gotta tell you, the venue that's going back to is so much fun.
Oh,
And
it is.
convenient, and I mean, just
I think Gary's very happy to go back to that burger spot we went to.
Well, dude, I mean, just the whole thing was just, it's I don't know. It was just a really cool weekend, and I had fun this past year for sure. But it was a real good environment to do it in.
For sure. Mark 44 Prime says he just got his days off approved. See you guys in Reston. Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
EE Prime says he needs to put in for his days tomorrow. It better do that, bro. Better do that.
And hats off to these guys. I mean, they've been doing a US show since 2014, I think.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they've got to have it down, and they've been doing the Toronto one for well before that.
Yeah,
right?
the 2000s, 2000, I think 2. The 1 was their first one.
So I mean, they've probably got it down to a science now. I think probably some of the things that's kind of iffy for them is they've probably gotten in with all the guests already that they need to get, comic book wise, cartoon wise, or TV show wise, I should say. But making sure that dealer room is full is probably a specific point that they need to focus on, especially if it's all Transformers related. And I mean, Chicago and East Coast, a lot of the same vendors, I think. So I think they did take a risk with that West Coast show to make sure that they could get people to fill that room with merch. And so I mean, like I said, I think they probably got it down to science now. So it's just extra work for them to do, but it's not a lot of discovery work they have to do.
They definitely have a blueprint. Their blueprint is there, and it's just that. But you're right, Ryan. No matter what blueprint you have, it's going to take. They're going to have to making calls. They're going to do what they need to do. They've very obviously built relationships with these hotels that they're doing them at. So it's like I said, like I think, and the dealers, the dealers are what makes the shows in regards to the dealer room. So my hat goes out for them too, tips to them too, because the work that they have to put in to go to these shows and make it fun for us. It's not like, I'm not just talking about like, toys are fun, toys are good there, but just at least, when we get there, all our friends are there, we all meet up, we all have a good time, go out at night, have a few drinks and have a ball. And, that's what it's all about at the end too.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, bro.
I was just say, another nice thing about it is it helps. I think, Jose, you actually mentioned this. I saw you mention this today in a post, but it helps to build that brand for them. And, it gives people the opportunity to, it's like, oh, I don't have to travel across the country to do this. Like if this becomes a regular thing and, it could help build our community. It could help people build their own as well for getting people together locally and hanging out and stuff like that, which is always a good thing. I think one of the things that shows as proof as one of the benefits of a community like we did here at the Realm was, it eliminates a lot of that anonymity, and it gets people talking and making friendships, which ultimately I think breeds a better experience with the hobby. Which is a good thing.
Yeah. And you always want the brand awareness to be raised, which is why I'm glad that LA show that happened this past weekend seemed to be a success. I mean, you're going to have vendors on that side that might not have the opportunity or the means to come to the East Coast for a show. So if they have a venue to take care of the people out there, that they're able to kind of fill that showroom, fill those tables, sell product, and do pretty well, and have a good contingent of the fan base out there to have a convention for them, but still raising that brand awareness of Transformers overall. That's a great thing.
You're gonna have the mom and pop shops, or even a seller who's like, who acquired a lot in their collection, who wants to get rid of some stuff, and you buy a table and not have the means to get over here to the East Coast to truck all that stuff. So it's like, or in regards to reducing our collection, sometimes, NJCC, Cherry Hill, sometimes Transformers don't sell there. Transformers, typically, if you have a Transformer dedicated convention, you're probably better bringing your Transformers there to sell, because at the end of the day, they'll sell there faster, and you don't have to truck them home later that day, because these other little mom and pop conventions that we go are not people just looking for Transformers. They're looking for Marvel Legends. They're looking for the G.I. Joes. They're looking for, all toy brands and stuff like that. So and it just shows how strong that Transformer community is out there, and how strong Transformers brand is. Because if you could do 3 conventions in a year and pack a hotel lot, a hotel ballroom, kudos, it just shows how strong we are, and then how powerful Transformers is. So
yeah. I mean, and at least kudos to the hardcore fan that's willing to trek out and support those conventions. To the fact that they could do them now 3 times, 2 in the US and 1 in Canada.
There's probably people that can do that, or are doing that.
Yeah, and the other thing that was good about it too is not just for the vendors that can make a show like that and help to make the show successful, but it's also for the people on that side of the coast as well that might not be able to just pick up and go to an East Coast show. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of expenses that are associated with that. Like, a lot of us couldn't go to this LA show just not because it's in LA, but just it was too quick of a turnaround from the show that
to
we
save. You have to save the money to expend that.
Yeah, so so to have something like that where they could just build a foundation, and then what if it comes to the Realm, members from out there could just start building the base from that side, and then eventually, I'm sure given enough time and notice, any one of us would go out for a West Coast.
We talked about it. We briefly did right before. It just wasn't cost effective.
Yeah,
we even debated on going to Toronto. Like, it was thrown out there. Like,
before, like, if they were not going to do another show on the East Coast, we could go to Toronto and go out there and just hang out at that show, which I have done before, and it's a great show up there, and it's a great atmosphere and everything. They do a great show there too, and it's just that's their roots. That's where they began. So it's like it's always nice to go back to the original where they started and see how it all grew. But like, don't get me wrong. I've been to a lot of conventions. I've been to a lot of BotCon conventions. The West Coast is there's no doubt that the West Coast, especially in LA, Pasadena, where BotCon was there many times, has the foot traffic, has the people that count. They do, and it comes in, and I'm sure vendors make a lot of money that go into that show out there. The East Coast, not so much, because I remember when East Coast shows were here for BotCon, it wasn't the same. Like, it wasn't the same foot crowd and the population and the ticket sales. So I applaud them for going out there. I hope they're successful out there. And if they are successful, it's only going to make us better out here because they're going to have enough time to come out here and spend money and to come over here and do a show here for us too. So
yeah, I agree. It's
all win-win in this case, you know.
Yeah.
If we all support and we keep going to these shows and the shows keep growing and growing and growing, the shows are just going to get better.
Yeah, I can't wait because Rustin was fun.
Fun.
It was really good.
Hey guys, like what Dave said, don't. We got the show. You better come out now. We better come out in numbers and support this fucking show and bring the ticket sales. And so they keep doing this shit, because if we don't, they're not going to keep doing this shit. So bring it.
Chris posted something in the group. I see a lot of maybes out there.
Yeah, like
come on, man, change those maybes to yeses. I'm gonna tell you,
the numbers count, and let's get the numbers up. Let's have a fun time. Let's all hang out. Let's make some friendships, and make it memorable.
Look at Brammer just said it in the chat. Bar taco. That's all you got to say.
Yeah, bar taco, dude. That's it. Line him up. Line him up.
I'm not missing out this time.
Yeah, me either.
It's gonna be so good. All right, before we wrap up, any figures, any highlight out of this TFCon LA that you want to?
I'm excited for those combiners that Fans Toys is doing.
Mm-hmm.
They look great. It's just that it's when will they happen, and I'm excited for it. Granted, I'm getting the Zeta stuff, but nothing would stop me from having a combiner and having them in robot form beneath them,
mm-hmm.
if the time ever presents or the space ever presents itself. But time is definitely on our side when it comes to Fans Toys, so there's no rush. So I hope they take their time and they do it right, and I'm sure they will. And hopefully, it looks like it's parts farming, so they're doing. It seems like they're doing it right, and hopefully they put out a good product.
All right, cool.
I'm curious about the Astro Train.
Yeah, the Astro Train too. Yeah,
that was a nice.
I mean, we haven't gotten the Blitzwing.
That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing. Can they do a triple chainer?
Yeah. Can they do them both? That's the question.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten the first one yet.
Do you think they're working harder on the renders than making the actual figures? just so they have something to reveal at these shows, and then it's like, okay, you just wait a couple of years for it,
Well, what I appreciate about the Astro Train, though, right, even though we might be waiting a while, that's the ongoing joke, right, is that it's not like somebody else just came out with a render too, like Fans Toys tends to do. Like, hey, we're doing it too. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're doing it, so wait for us. Nobody's did it since Evil Star and Chiga, whatever,
DX9.
Yeah, like, and I sold that thinking like, you know what, it's gonna get done eventually. I'm gonna get one, and when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I sold that bitch. Like,
the Metasaur stuff, the Metasaur ones,
the DX9, the DX9
Trigger
Astro Train, yeah.
Trigger. Oh yeah, the Trigger, yeah. I still have mine. I'll keep it. It's been like in my collection for a long time. So it's like, how can I? It's like it's like Hercules. Like, how can I let it go? So it's an ugly piece of shit. But like,
Dom, when was the last time you saw that chicker in person? If it's been in a box for years, you pull that thing out, you're like, wait, is this?
It's a long time. It's probably going to be like a look that I'm going to give when I see
that's still girl solid.
Yeah, it's a good piece, but like it's definitely going to get the look when I see a girl after talking to her at the bar after a few drinks and the lights come on at 1:00 and you're like, what the fuck?
Brammer was saying exactly what I'm thinking in my head, Dad. Chigga who? Chigga what? Oh man, that's so great. All right, anybody else? Any highlights out of the weekend figure wise?
So I had a little surprise. We know that repaints are just part of this hobby. And using molds, it's something new to Transformers or other action figures or Kickstarters or anything. But and I'm not a combiner guy either. But that Zeta Bruticus in the toy colors,
yeah, look good.
I liked it. Surprisingly, like I was kind of indifferent. But I don't know. I liked it. It kind of struck me a little bit. Now, again, I've said before, I'd rather just have one giant Action Master, combiner that's not going to come to pieces and stuff personally, but I just thought it looked pretty cool.
Come to
Damn,
your
I was
senses,
hoping-
Gary. You weren't feeling the aerial bot that you saw as what was it, Zolocon? So just
That's
don't
true
do it.
though. See, you're right, Jose. It's a good reminder. See how quickly we forget, right? It's like,
You open that thing and Dustin was recording you, and
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You're right. That didn't do it for me. It's a good point. See, you just saved me $280 on DBTS.
it's only 200. It's 380, isn't it?
Yeah, I said 380. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said 280. I was about to say I'm pre-ordering that shit right now.
No,
Yeah,
it's 380
I
for the
actually
box set.
pre-ordered it. Yeah, I pre-ordered that one. That's the one I was looking for, and I'm happy that they're doing it. So I wanted it more tune color accurate. So
look at that though. Isn't a reveal like that like just exactly like we all say be paid?
Yeah, but like Brian, Brian just called it out. So I just I trust in Brian. I don't pray to God at night. I pray to Brian. So,
Wait a minute. You were want to hang out with Brian last night again?
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you about
Brian,
that. Don't make any decisions with Brian at 1 o'clock in the morning.
He lays down the law.
Yeah,
I'd
spend another $150 on crap I don't need.
The last 2 times I did that with Brian and Dom, I wound up collecting Hot Toys and Mythic Legions. So
I just have to say parrot. That's all I have to say.
The new thing now, Dave, is Beast Box.
Beast Bots. Yeah,
Beast Box.
Oh, jeez. I do have one other thing that I think is worth noting that's actually pretty cool and pretty positive, whether you're into them or not. It's nice to see different exclusives from different companies that fit different genres, right? So the fall show in Chicago had that Stealth Azalea from MMC, right? Mm-hmm. And then the last Canada show had the Downbeat, right? The G2.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then to see this one, whether you're into them or not, the fact that they did the G2 Jetfire, right? And then the Inferno and the cool packaging. That Striker Manus, again, whether it's your thing or not, it's just neat to see something different, in a different scale. It's not MP. And then X-Transbots, doing repaints of their Stunticons. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool just that you're not seeing it's not always just one company. I felt like it, for a few years, it seemed like it was always MMC that had some type of exclusive, right? Mm-hmm. And just seeing different companies put some different things together for whether they're associated with a specific vendor or not. It's neat to see the effort, I think, going into some of that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's only going to grow. If these shows grow and they do well, I'm sure those exclusives going to be more companies going to be coming out with exclusives to attract, us as collectors to come to these conventions and get those exclusives if we want them.
If we want, well. And what's also is just only my own experience from the 2 shows that I went to. And then just watching like in the groups and stuff for the one in California, but it doesn't seem like it's such an exclusive availability, and that's how it should be, I think, right? Yeah, where if you go to the event, you should be able to get it with some effort, but not a ton of effort, where it stresses you out so badly.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I saw in the group somebody was like, "Oh, can you try to get me one?" They're like, "Dude, just order it online tomorrow." Like, chill out. Like,
yeah,
exactly. And like from Gary's point, it's G2. It's mostly G2. Like, it's not like something mainline where it's like, oh, why they're doing that and it's making them that exclusive. Now I have to go freaking find it and buy it. It's some one-off type of thing that if you love the G2 and the G2 coloring, it's definitely going to be up your alley. If not, it's not going to kill you in regards to your G1 or whatever else you're collecting.
Yeah, that's something that definitely spoke to me though with this show. Like that's why I loved what Make Toys did with that G2 Starscream, because like for me, like even though for the most part I'm not into the exclusives that they make available at these shows, like that piece spoke to me because that was my first Starscream figure that I bought as a kid with my own money. Like that, it was that G2 Starscream and that type of packaging. So when I saw that whole thing like together, I was tempted.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Dude, I mean, seriously, like if someone really wanted an MP style G2 collection, I mean, between the Fans Toys, Dinobots, right? The Make Toys stuff, some X-Transbots repaints, for G. I mean, you would have a really impressive, G2 collection. And they didn't make every character from G1 into G2. So if the completest people, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like that's a like a finite collection. That's I didn't do the math, but it's not too far off.
Yeah.
I've been doing that with the Diaclone, Gary. I've been doing that with Diaclone Masterpiece. Like I've been collecting all the Diaclone, and sometimes, the official hasn't come through and repainting some of their masterpieces into that Diaclone color, and it's like, and sometimes the third party have, and I pick those up to fill the voids and fill the holes. So it's great when they do stuff like that. It's just great because when you have collectors like myself that are just trying to get that little niche and collect some of those rare off things in that masterpiece level, you can do it.
Yeah. It looks like Gort is in. He's got the G2 MP collection going.
Yep.
Smiley face. So,
right. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's been a good time for G2 collectors.
Yeah.
Like year and a half.
Considering now that we're getting to that point, like we're seeing the Beast Wars MP. I mean, G2 was even before that. So do you think that might be something we see more, like in the coming years, like a little bit more love for that aspect of Transformers?
I think they're going to continue doing it the way they're doing it. Like I don't think it's going to be
one-offs.
One-off. The one-offs here. Here's an exclusive G2 coloring of some character.
Not something line-wide.
It's not going to be like a Beast Wars type of thing. Okay. Like it's not going to be like Beast Wars is the next jump off to that officials doing, and obviously third party might get into it, and they've been trickling some companies. So it's I think it's going to be a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's perfect. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely see them just staying on the repaint route. It's perfect for an exclusive standpoint. For a convention standpoint, I should say, especially if they got to pump out 3 a year now. But
it's achievable at that point, right?
I mean, so when's that G2 Zeta Superion start showing up?
Yep. I got the Combiner Wars version. I'm good.
Or the G2 Bruticus.
That was a joke. Oh man. All right. Anybody else as far as figure wise? JD? I don't think we heard from this.
I just said the Astra Train.
Oh, okay. That's right. All right.
Yo, Legends live strong, buddy. Legends live strong.
Any of the Legends stuff, of course. Iron Factory, man, they always kill it.
I like killing it.
Yeah. All right.
Like it's hard though. Like right now, Magic Square and New Age. Like I know New Age has a different size scale, but I'm kind of invested in Magic Square. But like when I saw that Jazz from New Age, I was like, "Fuck, that looks good."
Yeah, I think that's.
But I know the scale is a little bit shorter, and it's like, Jesus, it's just like. I have to stick with one because on a G1 perspective, Legends. So it's just I'm kind of invested in Magic Square since I bought like pretty much all the stuff that they have out. So
I love the more stylistic look of the Iron Factory stuff, but it is hit or miss. Like it does suck that there isn't a bit more of a consistent scale between all that Legend stuff, especially considering how hot that scale is now. You would want some sort of. But
I don't feel like Iron Factory should be any scale with Magic Square or even New Age because they're doing G1 stuff. So if they want to do their own scale, that's cool because it's more Cybertron, IDW type of stuff, and I'm cool with that.
Even Iron Factory is admitting to themselves that made some mistakes, maybe they just got newer designs they want to put out, but they're putting out Soundwave again, and they had already put out Soundwave and Blaster. They were tiny.
Yeah, they were.
All right. All right, good stuff. All right, well, let's wrap on that. We could continue this discussion on Broadcasted. We'll be throwing out the link to the ROC Facebook group as usual. So before we head out for the evening, and great discussion, guys. You know what I'm saying? Let's just run it down the line and get some where you at before we sign off for the evening. Brian Brink, I'll start with you, brother.
Brian Brink in the Facebook groups, at Brinkalizer on Instagram, exterminating ants in my kitchen.
Get him. All right, Big Dom.
You can find me at sorry, my screen fell off. Hey. You can find me at Dominic Grasso and the Facebook groups and here Tuesday nights with you guys. And Dave, stop calling me.
Hey man.
And a John Addict.
Yeah, you can find me here on Tuesdays. You can find me on Instagram, Energon Addict. Facebook, David Cologne is my government. And hopefully, I really hope to see most of you in October. So I'm saying it today. You'll probably hear me say it again when the date gets closer, but just make it happen. You could do
don't
it.
Don't angry the dwarf. He's carrying his ass.
You could do. I'm going away with these dudes like 4 times this year, and that's hard enough. Trying to do that with a wife. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing with these guys?" But
you love
making it happen.
You love them more than me.
What's all this bread for?
G Money.
Yep. Let's see. Gary Allen and Facebook groups. And we got the Wellness Challenge coming to a close, couple more weeks. So we'll post some stats for that. That'd be good.
Dom is dying for some carbs.
Dude, I want a fucking hamburger like you have no idea.
He wants a burger and a Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. More the Diet Pepsi.
All right, JD.
You find me here every Tuesday night with you beautiful gentlemen. Every other Wednesday on Figure Banging. No new show this week. It'll be next week. Instagram, you can find me at Pigment Surgery. It's Instagram and Xbox Live. And Facebook at JD Brocious. I did that like backwards.
That's great.
Impressive.
Keep them guessing. Oh shit! You gotta switch. Yeah, like Dave said, you gotta switch up the hands sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And upside down like that. Remember that discussion?
Stranger.
All right,
try both next time. You're upside down and a regular. Try them both.
It's too small for him.
It'll change it.
Thanks for talking to you again.
All right, guys, that's for myself. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Xbox Live, and the PlayStation Network, all at Harrick and BX every single Tuesday night with these gentlemen. And check out Verbally Challenged with Harrick and BX on all audio platforms. Before we head out, check out Crashbox Customs on social media for all your Mezco and diorama needs. Mention the word Realm when placing an order, and you'll probably get a surprise gift with your purchase. Breaking the Mold is also available in audio format, so make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, leave a 5-star review. That's what all the cool kids do. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to like the video. You guys be slacking on them likes, bro. I want to see the thumbs up, or give us a thumbs down. I don't give a shit. I'm not telling you what to do, but just hit one.
Just hit something.
Hit one of those.
Hit the bell, hit the goddamn like, just hit something.
Yeah, yep. You could find the website, realmofcollectors.com. Check that out. You can find the group on Facebook, Realm of Collectors. We're on Instagram at Realm of Collectors. It's simple. It's not that hard, guys. It's not that hard. Breaking the Mold is a proud part of the Cool Table, so please pull up a chair. It's a hub for like-minded podcasts, including Enter the Realm, Plastic Fanatics, Shattercast Uncut, Toy Detox, Nerd Rage Radio, Beer and Bolters 40K, Stasis Lock, 8 weeks building up to it, Fresh Communication, and Verbally Challenged. You can find the Cool Table page also on Facebook and subscribe to all those other great podcasts. The links you can find on the Cool Table page. ROC Hangout continues next, but that does it for the live portion of the show, and we'll see you guys next week. All right? Peace. Later.
Have a good week, guys.